The last sermon is going to be a parable that I wrote about 25 years ago, and I was telling the parable class that when I wrote it, one of the things that I realized about it was that I didn't fully understand what it was about, which is a strange feeling to write a piece and not know all of what it's about. Little did I know that God had something in mind about 25 years later, and it would become more clear to me. Early in the morning, a man gathered up his fishing equipment and walked down the dirt path that led to the lake. When he arrived at the dock, he walked out to the end of it, opened up his tackle box, attached a hook to his line, and baited the hook. He cast the line into the water and sat cross-legged on the pier, waiting for the fish to bite. At first, he held the rod and reel carefully, with the line running under his thumb and over his index finger. He waited intently for a tug on that thin filament, but none came. After a long time, without even a nibble, he decided to lay down his rod and reel and just watch it. And it lay there undisturbed on the pier. As the fisherman relaxed and looked around, he noticed a silver reflection coming out of a crack in the concrete of the pier. It only caught his attention temporarily as he turned his head. But then later, when that silver glint struck his eye again, he bent over to see exactly what it was. This thing that shone so brightly. He tried to pick it out of the crack, but it was wedged in too deeply and wouldn't come loose. The fisherman turned around, opened up his tackle box, and took out his penknife. He dug down in the crack with his knife until he was able to wrestle loose that odd-shaped object. He held it in his hand, turning it between his thumb and forefinger. It was round and lumpy, crusted with years of accumulated deposits. But from within came a glistening spark. Later, the fisherman began to scratch at it with his knife, scraping off the stone-like layers. Eventually, he was able to scrape off almost all of the crusted buildup. And underneath was what appeared to be a brilliant stone, marbleized with an unusual glimmer within it. After working intently at this, he sat back and admired the stone in his hand. After a little while, the fisherman wet his hands and picked up a little bit of sand. He placed the stone in the palms of his hand and rubbed them together until he began to polish that stone. He did this off and on for more than an hour, until the sand had turned the palms of his hands bright red. He sat holding the stone in his fingers, staring at the texture and the mysterious luminosity of it. And then he leaned back, supported himself with his hands behind him, and just watched the waves roll in. Before long, he sat up straight and again put the stone in the palm of his hand. He lifted it up and, without thinking of it at first, began to rub the stone back and forth on the pant leg of his jeans. This began to polish it even more. He continued to rub the stone, turning it just a little as he went. The stone was becoming smooth and shining more brightly. Noticing that some parts weren't as polished as the rest of the stone, he gave those places special attention. First, he rubbed them again with the sand, and then he polished them until they matched the clarity of the rest of the stone. The more he worked on it, the more beautiful it became. Finally, he held the stone up to the shining sunlight and admired its remarkable brilliance and varied color. It shone now almost as if it had been professionally polished. The deep variegated shades of red and blue and green glistened within it. The fisherman marveled at its splendid appearance. Then he unbuttoned the pocket of his shirt and put the stone inside. He went back to watching his fishing line, hoping for better luck. But none came. Finally, as the sun made its way toward the western horizon, the man decided to give up fishing. He brought in his line with the now limp worm on it, cleaned off the hook, and attached the hook into the cork handle of his fishing rod. He gathered up his tackle box and walked back along the pier toward the shoreline. As he reached the end of the pier, the fisherman took the brilliant stone out of his pocket. He held it again, turning it over and over. He felt its polished smoothness between his fingers and once more admired its radiant glistening. The fisherman gazed back at the spot where he had found that stone. He turned it in his hand once again. And reaching up, he started to put it back in his pocket. But then he stopped and smiled. Taking several steps out onto the pier again, he carefully set the stone down right in the center of the concrete surface. And then he turned and walked up the path that led home. Amen.